Welcome, everybody, to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. Welcome, everybody, to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. I am your host, John Espinosa. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I appreciate all the listeners out there. I appreciate everyone that's sharing this podcast. I appreciate all the comments. I can't tell you how much feedback that I have gotten, whether they're DMs or they're comments, or I meet folks in the street, at work, or wherever I'm at. And I will tell you that there's one thing when I first started this podcast, and this is the season 2 close. We are coming to a close with season 2. When I was considering even beginning a podcast, I was worried about what others would think. That was probably my biggest hurdle, my biggest obstacle to getting in front of this mic, to getting in front of the camera and just get going. What would other people think? Would they like it? Would they not like it? Would they say something? Would it hurt me? Would it be detrimental to my confidence? I mean, you just have all of those thoughts, especially when you start putting yourself out there on multiple platforms. And we don't do a lot of editing. A lot of this is one cut, one reel. Here we go, John. And I just get in front of this mic and I start talking about my experiences, becoming a leader, growing as a leader, my leadership journey. And that's what this is about. And I'm having a great time. It excites me whenever I meet somebody and they have a story to share around, maybe they're in a tough spot. Maybe they were struggling and it was TikTok that I recorded. It was the podcast that they listened to. It may have just been a message that I had down in the description of one of my posts, and they found it useful and they thanked me. And that's the whole reason I started this. One person at a time. If I could help one person overcome something that I struggled with personally when I was maturing as a leader, when I was going through a difficult time, because that's what I turned to. I turned to my faith. I turned to my family. I turned to my personal development, my professional development, my coaches, my mentors. When I was going through a difficult time, when I was doubting myself, and we talked a lot about that in season 2, I turned to the ones that I respected. I turned to the ones that I found positive energy around. And season 2 covered inclusive cultures, and cultures really, period. I talked a lot about having difficult conversations, being mindful as a leader of the conversations that are occurring around you, occurring within your teams, the words that are coming out of your mouth and how they may be perceived. You've heard me say this before, that culture will eat strategy for breakfast every single day of the week. I don't care how good your business strategy is. I don't care what your business plan looks like, what your, revenue looks like at that particular time. If you don't have the underlying culture, the cornerstone of a majority of successful organizations, it's not if, it's when. When things are riding that wave, things are going well, you're not going to hear anything. Everybody's successful, everybody's winning. Organizations are built when they go through challenges, when the times get tough. That's where we pull together. We turn inward. And if that cultural, that inclusiveness is not there within our teams, that's where it comes to light. That's when, as a leader, we're going to figure out how good of job we've been doing creating a culture where people can come to us and either have a difficult conversation, let us know that something's going on, they don't feel it's right. Maybe there's an issue within your team, within the organization, and it's not going well. Do you have the cultural foundation in your team, in your organization, for those things, for people to have the courage, for them to have the vulnerability to come have a conversation with you, the tough conversation? Have you created the culture that when they are feeling as if they're excluded, and it may not be you as the leader, it may be somebody on your team, that they can come to you and have that conversation? We've talked a lot about mindset or relationships. Relationships are the number one factor of people being happy, of their happiness, of their belonging to an organization, of them feeling part of the team. If we have healthy relationships within our organizations, within our culture, people will be able to come to you. People will stay through the good times and the tough times. They're going to stick with you through those challenging times. I got asked a question the other day about people who are in the organization that I've worked in or I've led, and we've developed them. We've given them all that they could, possibly want, and they take another opportunity. And we pat them on the back and we tell them, thank you for everything that you've done for our organization. And we wish them well, and they go and they do that opportunity. They go out, they spread their wings, and then a year, 2 years later, 3 years later, whatever that looks like, they come back. They apply for another position. It may be a promotional opportunity. It may be an opportunity that they didn't see themselves in at that time when they had to leave the organization. I left an organization that I grew up in, that I was part of the culture, that I was part of creating a culture. And it was tough, but I needed to leave. I personally needed to spread my wings. I needed new challenges. It didn't have anything to do with that culture being exclusive or me feeling like I was excluded. It had everything to do with the fact that I needed to go experience more. And one day I may go back. But the reason that I even have that opportunity is because I left that culture, that organization, better than what I inherited when I came into the organization. And I still talk to people today that are in that organization or maybe have left that organization that whenever we were in that organization, everybody was flourishing. Why? Because the leader allowed that. The leader cultivated that environment for everybody to flourish, for everybody to win. And when the times got tough, when the deadlines came down, when it was the end of the month and you had to get that project or you had to meet a certain rank within your teams, we all banded together. And that's what season 2, that's the foundation of an inclusive culture. That's what it will do for you as an organization and as for a leader of that organization, is it allows people to have great relationships, great communication, cohesiveness. I could continue to use those adjectives to describe organizations that I have been a part of and that I have seen that have great inclusive cultures. And that's what season 2, all the topics, all the episodes that we talked about, a couple of the interviews, even the impromptu questions. That was my favorite probably part of season 2 as we grow this podcast and we get more listeners. I had listener questions. And I got to respond to those questions in a timely manner. And that meant the world to me, that you all would take the time not only to listen, but then to engage and ask a question. And that's what this is about. It's about helping others get to where they're going. That's not a buzzword for me. I want to invest in others as others have invested in me. And I truly want to help you all get to where you are going, wherever that may be, or even if it means spreading your wings and going out to another organization, getting uncomfortable. We talked a little bit about those uncomfortable conversations. And it may look like it gets easier for those senior leaders, for those really good leaders, but it's still hard. It's still uncomfortable when you go into those conversations because we're dealing with human beings as leaders. We're dealing with emotions and beliefs, hard-coded values of others. And in the end, all people really want is to be a part of something and to feel like they are seen and appreciated, and that is why the inclusive culture works. I cannot tell you the numerous times that I thank my faith, I thank my luck, that I've been part of some great organizations. They've afforded me the ability to develop myself. They've afforded me the ability to create relationships that I will have until my time ends on this earth. And I would encourage you, if you are not in an organization where that is happening, you need to ask yourself, is it going to change? Can I be the change agent? Can I be the one to change it? Or have I outgrown that organization? And then you need to make a decision, because in the end, you're the only one that's going to impact you. You're the only one that can answer those types of questions. If you need help working through that, I would highly consider you speak to a mentor. I would highly consider you speak to a coach if you have that. And if you don't have a mentor or coach, I would highly encourage you to go get one. And when we talk about coaching and mentoring, it can be a formal one-on-one. It could be somebody that you look up to. You don't necessarily call them a mentor, but they provide mentorship to you. Or it could be out there listening to podcasts, some of the big leaders out there. It could be reading books. It could be, I mentioned autobiographies. I find autobiographies very interesting. That's a part, at least, of mentorship for me. Look to authors. I look to my faith. Those are mentors. Those help me get through those difficult times or answer questions that I may have. So in closing, I hope you all enjoyed season 2 as much as I did making it and recording it. I hope that I'm getting better. I hope you all see the value added in listening, because I sure love to share. I love the feedback. Keep that coming. Make sure that you're following the other social accounts, whether it's YouTube, TikToks. We're doing a lot more TikToks. We're doing a lot more YouTube shorts on the YouTube channel. Make sure you got all that subscribed to and saved or liked and favorited. And then it would be an honor if you would just share with one other person. It really would. I was lucky enough that I had a very influential person in my life introduce me to podcasts, and that got the juices flowing, and here I am. Now I have a podcast. So you never know what just that one share, or a book. I buy books, I read them, and then I pass them on. I think that's one of the greatest gifts, whether it's to my children or a good friend of mine, maybe somebody, a mentee or a coachee. I think books are one of those things that stand the test of time. But I would encourage you, work on your culture. Ask yourself, how can I make my culture better? Be that change agent. Be that person that encourages. Be that positive light within your team, within your community, within your organization. And I promise you, people are watching. They may not see you or tell you immediately, month, 2 months, 3 months down the road, but they are watching. They're watching those that are out there leading the way, that are remaining positive, that are not afraid to have those difficult conversations, and that make others feel valued, included, and in the end, help others get to where they're going. Stay tuned for season 3, because we're not done yet, and it's only going to get better. I promise. Go be great. Talk to everyone later. Bye-bye. If you enjoy what you're hearing, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps us get others to where they're going.